Today is April 15th, Wednesday, Sixers playoff day if you're in Philadelphia or around this area, if you're a Sixers fan. And I am doing song 3 today for Wrath of the Bull. It is the title track, and I'm going to try to sing it now like I did yesterday so I don't have to worry about forgetting the melodies. It's pretty simple, but I could forget these melodies. I had to refresh my memory earlier. Risk addicted fiction, score the meek, vision board the fall, test the eye awaken, preach the fame, wire every jaw, inspiration flinched, love abandoned, run the lion tamer, dun 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 dun, dun 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 dun. Televise the trauma with the wink towards the victor's seat. Rules confuse reunions, count the beat on the record. Dispose every commitment, shorter reach, less reality to binge. Dun, 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 dun. Ah, for the wrath of the bull, the model citizen, for the wrath of the bull, and I don't think there's going to be much more to this song than that. I might add something later, but that's the two verses and the chorus at least. I was thinking Blues Traveler in my head when I was going through some of these melodies. There's a Jack White influence again throughout this entire album. But I'll list Blues Traveler. I kind of noticed some of their mellow craftings of melodies that I really like. I'm not a major fan. I don't know all their stuff, just like everything else I talk about. There's not a lot of bands that I've really been obsessed with. Um, that I have to get everything by them. Maybe Gillian Welch, Dave Rawlings were like the only two. Sarah Jarosz. There's certain acts that I'll have to listen to them, like when Rancid came out with an album a couple years ago. But yeah, it's tough for me to really dive deep. It's been 2 weeks since I continued with the Fela Kuti thing. So that's my main listening objective, was to listen to Fela Kuti, every one of his albums. So you can see how I kind of lose focus easily. But I like the flow of this song. I think it's one of the strongest upbeat melodies. Dun 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 dun. It's got a pop sentimentality to it, and I don't think it needs much more than what I've put on this so far. Of course, I might have to add something. A bridge would probably fit if I can come up with something later. Usually, I'll come up with it after I listen to this and I'll get a sense of how the song should flow. So I don't have it right now, but if I do later today, I'll add it to another recording like I've been doing. And that's where this album is. It's Jack White, that new type of bluesy, but it also pays tribute to the old roots of the blues that I think Jack White is pretty knowledgeable in. Like, the dude owns his own record label, so yeah, he probably likes all kinds of music. Where is this lyrically coming from? As I always ask myself after I do this, I don't know. I wrote these lyrics really quickly in like the last 2 days. Maybe it took me about 20, 30 minutes altogether. I had to edit the melody more than the words, I think. Usually, my process with editing the words is just to make it fit better as I sing it. But I wanted to make this like the gospel choir song, which is why I made the chorus like that. Ah, for the wrath of the bull. And you can get a sense of how powerful that could be if it was different harmony singing. And yeah, I like that a lot. I think it's pretty epic for a blues type of song to put that gospel type of soulful choir involved with some part of the song. So that's all I have right now for that. But I would like to include that maybe in an outro that picks up the pace a little bit more. It's almost like a Rage Against the Machine chorus. For the wrath of the bull. This is for the people of the sun. Like maybe that song's in my head because I shared it yesterday or the day before. Rage Against the Machine. So there's an element of that as well. But like I was trying to get into the lyrics. I don't know, man. I made a note for myself last night. I woke up in the middle of the night. I was having weird dreams. I had a dream that I hate telling my dreams. You notice that I never really talk about dreams I have. And honestly, I don't dream a lot. When I do, I just know they're just stupid dreams, so I don't think about it. But I had a pretty decent, like weird screenplay type dream where I was driving Bob Dylan around in a van. I guess I was like his tour guy. And it was just me driving Bob Dylan around in this dingy old van to like concerts. It was really weird. I don't remember the conversations, but that's all I kind of remember. And then I was like, that's kind of a cool idea for a screenplay. What if it's like an old time folk singer and I don't know, maybe he's like that Rodrigo guy who didn't really gain popularity until later in his life in America. I'll list him. I'll list Rodrigo and Bob Dylan to give this a different flavor because I've been sharing the same type of music over and over again lately. I don't like being like that. I've been sharing like the Beatles every time, and yeah, that's a big influence. Just like it's hard to get away from that because that's what you kind of want to do as a songwriter. You want to be considered with the best of the best. Like um, when I was more researching Carole King last week, she told a story how she met John Lennon. And she was like, "You were rude to me the first time we met or years ago." And he was like, he was afraid, intimidated because she's one of the best songwriters. So it's cool to have that competitive kind of urge sometimes, the competitive nature of any creative, maybe more than anything else. I was just going to say business venture, entrepreneurship. You need to have that independent, competitive spirit. Just fuck it, I'm going to do this. And that's kind of where my head's at now. Wasn't like that in the beginning of my songwriting life. I was too afraid to share stuff, too afraid to write lyrics. I would hardly write the lyrics for any songs I did. I would just have music files. And then a couple years ago, I had to put all the lyrics together and just, that was a clusterfuck because I was just writing the same thing over and over again, not even knowing what the hell I was writing. Like, you want to talk about a ghostwriter? I was 100% just a ghost, just trying to conjure words that made some kind of sense. And it took me, I mean, like 10 to 20 editing sessions on all the albums I shared on Substack in the early 2022, I guess, or 2023. And yeah, the editing was just crazy. I think it helped me develop a lyrical process where it's like, it's not really about me, but maybe a little bit, but it's more just about relatable human struggles or human, whatever. All of life is a struggle. So you just want to be able to connect with other people, regardless of race or country, nationality. You just want to connect with people on a human level. So that's what this song is. If I had to put it into a thesis statement, that's what it would be. Because I don't like how everything's so this or that. The dualistic nature is just stupid to me. I talked about that in the first song in a more satirical way. The Wrath of the Bull, I just like the way that flowed. It sounds really cool as a phrase, as an album title, as a song title, as a lyric. Wrath of the Bull. Sounds like, I don't know, like a Hemingway story or some kind of poem. I don't know. I wrote a note to myself when I woke up in the middle of the night last night. I had the Bob Dylan dream 2 nights ago. Last night was just other weird stuff, people from my past. And yeah, I woke up maybe around 4 a.m. Then I went back to sleep a little bit, a couple hours later. And it's probably because this album's in my head. Um, Back around 2021, I was all into hiking and walking. I still had a job back then, but every Saturday I would walk 20 miles. I would wake up early, find a new destination, someplace to hike in southern New Jersey, because there are places around here where I live, even currently. There's a really famous park around here, around Mount Holly, New Jersey. It's very historical town, like very old buildings. It's pretty cool. And so back in 2021, that was my routine. Every Saturday I was super motivated, and that's when I just wanted to get healthy in my diet, in my exercise, and everything. So I was doing 20-mile walks every Saturday. Eventually, I just got bored with it and just walked around the neighborhood in my town, and I didn't really go anywhere else. But at one point, I was traveling to get a new scenic place to walk, so I drove down to. I was supposed to look this up. Apologies. It's near Seaside in New Jersey, if you're familiar with that. I think it's just called Island State Park. I wanted to get it right because the story I was thinking of last night just popped in my head. Island State Park, New Jersey. Yeah, it's a beach. Yeah, really beautiful. It's a preserved 3,000 acre. I'm getting this from Google. Undeveloped sandy beaches, a lot of fishing. It's really beautiful. It's right near Seaside. And I think you have to pay maybe 5, $10, but it's really beautiful place. It's the first time I went there back in 2021 or so. And I just walked around the beach, tried to do my 20 miles on the dunes and just walking back and forth. And I just remember it was so weird, man. I guess it was right after the election, because it was after the 2020 election. But the beach was like segregated for real. It was like one side of the beach was just Trump people with their flags, like big Trump flags, and their big SUVs. I guess you could drive any vehicle onto the beach, which is pretty cool. And then when I walked to the other side of the beach, it was all like, I don't know how to term it. It was like non-Trump people. It could have been Trump people, but they weren't like advertising it. It was very odd. I felt like it was I was in some Twilight Zone episode of walking the beach. There was this some invisible barrier of the left and right. It was very odd. So, but that popped in my head last night. Like it was some that would be like the music video for this for this song if I ever did that. Because it was so weird. I was seeing the political spectrum like on the beach in New Jersey, just walking it. It was so odd. And I don't know, it just stayed with me. I usually just ignore that shit because I don't care. I don't consider myself any side of the spectrum. I just try to take on issue by issue. But nowadays, you can't really be like that. You have to join a team and be willing to scream at the other team and do all this stupid bullshit. So that's not my game. I don't vote anymore. I don't pay attention to the news or any bullshit that goes on. I just, yeah, I'm proud to be a stupid American in terms of not paying attention to politics because it's just toxic. Maybe it'll get better eventually when new generations come in, but I don't know, man. You want to be hopeful. But I thought I would tell that story because I made a note about it when I woke up in the middle of the night. I haven't thought about that in a while, but some reason it popped in my head. Um, And this song kind of plays into that feeling, I think. I don't know. I don't know what it's like in other places in the United States because I don't do my road trips anymore. I don't really connect with anybody. So I'm not sure what it's like in other places. Maybe that's a reason I want to move. One of the reasons I don't want to be on the East Coast anymore. I just want to experience a different wavelength of life because everything's stale, man. Around me, it's just stale. My own, nobody's fault. I'm just in a rut where I can't make my own money. I can't live independently. I'm more than qualified to get a job. I just can't get a job right now. So, and yeah, I'm not going to work in New Jersey or other places around here. I want to make a move and really dedicate the rest of my life to doing this project. So that's where my head's at. I'm more motivated today because it's a clear path. My purpose in life is clear. That's not what my frustration springs from. It's just I'm not able to pursue it because I don't have the resources to do it right now. It's a different mode of frustration that I'm dealing with. And I figured I would tell that story. I thought it was interesting. If I ever did make a music video, I don't know, that's kind of stupid and it's kind of dated. That's like so long ago, even though the political divide is still there. You see it even if you don't want to pay attention to it. You still feel that sometimes. You just kind of sense it in like the air. It's fucking weird. But maybe the other theme of this song and this album is just my creative process and how introverted it's been. It's not a new phenomenon for me. I was always like that. And I feel like I put about 20 years of work in over the last 5 or 6 years since 2020, 2021. I wasn't as committed or dedicated as I was until COVID hit. In 2017, 18, I was still collecting vinyl. I had the idea of making that like my retirement plan to sell vinyl. So I collected like 2,000 records and did the whole estate sale, thrift shopping thing, which I love. I'd still do it if I could. But I wasn't committed to screenwriting. I wrote one screenplay and then it was terrible and I just kind of said, this isn't for me. But after 2020, that's when all that shit changed. That it was just like, I don't feel like living my life based on bullshit. I'm going to write, or I don't want to live my life for other people based on what other people's expectations are and all those stupid thoughts that people have in their 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s. It doesn't matter. You're always kind of looking at society. Everyone goes through that to get a direction where it's like, fuck that. Look internally sometimes. Internally is your best guide if you can really get a grasp on what you are, who you are as an individual. And I'm still struggling with that, but that's a process too. But I feel like I put about 20 years of work in over that span, 2020 to 2025, until I got evicted. And yeah, that's why I feel like I should be doing this. That's my purpose, to create the actual music for everything I did over the last 20 years. The reason I said I've done 20 years of work over the last 5 years since 2020, even up till now, you could say up till now, which is more than 5 years, because I didn't leave my apartment for about 5 years. I literally left my apartment maybe once a week or once every 2 weeks just to go to Aldi to get food. And that's the only time I stepped foot out of my apartment. And because I was like, I'm going to work my ass off and create a resume, a portfolio of my screenplays. And I wrote 15 screenplays. I wrote about 500 songs, fleshed them out with lyrics and everything. Some of them I already had, some of them I didn't. I had to put together. I did the Substack thing, and then after that, around 2023, it took me about 2 years to write my book. But that was involved. The whole thing since 2022 was directly, now that I could look back at it, it was directly in line with writing my book, which is the greatest thing I've done so far, in my opinion. It's a collection of every song I've conjured since I was, well, stuff that I was proud of, at least since 2000. I don't know. I forget what year I started. '08 maybe. Because it's weird. Some of the songs on my earliest album, Songs from the Rhine, some of those songs started in college or later, and then I had to rework them, but I had the idea. So it's just like how I do things now, but the difference back then, I'd never shared anything with anyone. I was too afraid to share stuff. And I wish I wasn't like that back then. I was actually in a university that encouraged that stuff, creativity, communication, and I just didn't take full advantage of that experience because I was too shy and I was too afraid to do stuff. Even like I tried to join groups and political groups or in the political science department, and I just never was able to. I'm not a very good person in networking myself. I don't know how to do that stuff. So it's a problem when it comes to marketing. But social media is so stupid. I don't feel like I've had that problem. It's just social media is pretty fucking useless unless you're a famous person and you already have an audience attached to your name. If you don't have that stuff, social media, I've said it before, it's pretty fucking useless. But yeah, everything I've done since 2020 led to the book that I wrote. Even the screenplays helped me get back into creative mode and how to write and how to edit and stuff like that. It was a education process all over again. And yeah, I think a lot of these themes are within the words of this song. But again, I'm coming across as probably kind of redundant because I've been through this stuff before. I'm just trying to find different ways to approach it musically because I feel like that's everyone's path in life until you find out what you really want to fucking do and not to make other people happy. Do what makes you fucking happy because you're only going to live for so many fucking years. I could die today, I could die tomorrow. So you have to think like that. That Dead Poet Society, how cheesy I am for bringing that up, but it's like seize the day thing is true. You have to fucking do it. And I don't have the resources to do it, but I'm still doing stuff like this to promote my DIY approach. And yeah, I'm not trying to make millions of dollars from this stuff. I'm trying to make enough money to support myself for the next 20 years. Right now, I can't even get a job at fucking Starbucks. I've applied to, like, that's how fucking ridiculous shit is. I applied to like 30 Starbucks throughout the West Coast, California, Arizona. Yesterday, I was looking at Nashville because I'm like, Nashville is pretty cool, right? Like, that's probably a cool place to live if you're trying to be a songwriter or whatever. I don't know. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. Maybe because I got like the Jack White story on my brain. I don't know. But I went to Nashville once a long time ago just for like one night. So I can't say what it's like to live there. But even, yeah, I even looked around Nashville applying to some Starbucks positions because I'm like, well, that's a job I could do in my spare time. And when I have my own time, I'll do my music thing. But ideally, yeah, I don't want to put my time into serving people coffee, but if I have to, then I'll do it because I just need to change my perspective on things, change my scenery, and it starts by just getting to a new location and being independent again. I don't know how else to live if I'm not independent. I can't make my own money because there's no opportunity if that's what your life is like. These messages I'm putting out, are they even going anywhere? Are people blocking my Substack? Are people blocking my voice like that? I don't fucking know. Because I don't get a response from like anybody about anything I put on Substack. I very rarely get any um, anyone to really look at this shit. But it doesn't affect me personally because that's not why I'm really doing this stuff. That would be helpful though. That's another way you could make an income as a DIY approach. People can subscribe and pay. And yeah, I'm gonna start doing more of these, even if this is the last new album I write. And that's what my plans are. I'm gonna go back in time and kind of go through more songs that I've written in the past. Because I can't do it with a guitar right now, but that's why I kind of stopped doing that stuff. But I could still do it like this. This is exactly what I'm doing is analyzing what this song could be if produced professionally, what this song could be if I was just a guy in the 1920s with a guitar and a crappy recorder and I was trying to put this onto a record and it was just me and a guitar. How would I record this song without all the fancy shit from digital technology? That's kind of where my head's at when I do these things. Just the general blueprint is what I call it. And I'm going to stop it here. I'll probably try to return to this after I listen to this whole ramble, and I'm going to try to put another section to this song. I also had a riff idea, I think this morning when I woke up. I'm like, I want to make a riff like Seven Nation Army, but as soon as you say that, you're going to think of Seven Nation Army, and you're not going to come up with anything. So I don't know if it's any good, but if I'm going for the Jack White type of experienced bluesy rock stuff, and it's got to be dependent on riffs and stuff like that. So that's where my head's at. I'll try to form some kind of a bridge or outro because I don't think there's enough yet to completely call this a complete 3 to 4 minute song. And it is a title track, so it should be memorable more than some of the other ones. Right now, the first 3 songs, I think this is the best melody overall. I just like how it flows. Risk addicted fiction, score the meek, vision board the fall. Din, 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 din. You could really jam on that, I think. Hopefully, I don't really know how else to term it. I just hear it in my head. Like it could be a pretty cool jam on that simple riff and the verse melodies, and then you go into the gospel choir. So I'm thinking of even like that Childish Gambino song, right? Or who am I thinking of? Shit. This is America. He had a part where he had like a gospel choir, I think. Is that the right guy? This is America. It was one of the craziest videos. Yeah, I know it's Donald Glover, but yeah, Childish Gambino. That's a pretty crazy music video. Speaking of music videos, maybe that's kind of the same kind of sense that I got when I was walking that beach. Like how it was so divided by political. You could just tell, like it was so fucking weird, man. I don't know what it's like today. That's the only time I went there. Back in 2021, I forget, must have been the summertime. But yeah, I don't know. I'll share that song too, since I was talking about music videos, and that's one of the best ones. One of the most memorable ones. After you watch that, you get kind of like, fuck, that's pretty powerful. So maybe I'll just share that video then, since that's kind of what I'm focusing on. But yeah, there's a political nature to this song as well. Not as in your face and forcing you to encounter some of the ills of society. Excuse me. It's not really in your face like that song is. This is America. When that song came out, it was around that same time period, probably around 2020, 2021. When did This Is America come out? It had to be around that time. because it was about like shootings and stuff like that. This Is America came out. I was wrong. Came out 2018. Some reason I thought it was around the COVID times, but it was like kind of predicting the future, I guess. But it's about that media distraction and desensit desensitizing. I was gonna say desensitization. I don't think that's a word though. How the media kind of desensitizes people to violence and shit because it's just the world is in like seemingly in constant warfare if you really think about it. So I'll share that since it's kind of related to this. Maybe not so much musically, but it is kind of cool. There is kind of a riff quality to that song. And yeah, it's a well done music video. So I'll share that. I'll share Blues Traveler, Jack White, Rage Against the Machine, that songwriter Rodriguez. I said Rodrigo, but Rodriguez, Sugarman, that dude. I'll share a Bob Dylan song and the Childish Gambino, and maybe something else if I think of other influences. But I'll end it here. I'll keep going with this. I have one. I kind of have one more song that's kind of done, but not really. So I'm gonna have to work on these other songs today and tomorrow. So far, I've just been getting bits and pieces of melodies and trying to find a song to put it to, but I'll talk about that later. So yeah, stay tuned tomorrow. Right now, the tentative title for the song tomorrow is King Tease. King Tease. And it's going to be another, maybe more Black Crowes ish type of feel, because I don't want any ballads on this. That's what I'm saying now, at least. I want it all to be just up tempo, high energy, and flowing together seamlessly. I don't really feel like I need any ballads anymore because I just wrote a bunch of ballads and I'm kind of tired of that flavor. And all right, that's all for now.